turn it, leave it, stop, format it. Watch it, turn it, leave it, stop, touch, turn it, leave it, stop.
That music just gets me pumped up. It just puts a smile on my face every time I start talking about it. Like
it's fitting, as you said last time, sir.
Do you know who it is?
I absolutely do not.
Surely you know the band, well, they're not really a band, but they're a group, Daft Punk.
Oh, of course. I did think it sounded like this song, but I haven't heard that song for such a time that I didn't know if it was similar or the same.
I have a question for you. This is unrelated to the show, but sometimes I like to do cold openings, and I want to see what your take is on this. Are you familiar with the Monty Hall problem?
No.
Okay. So here's the scenario. And for people that are listening, you can skip this part if you don't want to listen, but I'll try to make this quick. You're on a game show, all right? And Monty Hall is the host. And the game show presents you with there's 3 doors. And behind two of the doors are goats. Behind one door is a sports car. Okay? Mm-hmm. And Monty Hall, who knows what's behind each door, okay, so he knows where the goats are and he knows where the car is. And he says to you, Connor, pick a door, and let's say you pick, I don't know, door number 3. So you pick door number 3, and then Monty, who again knows where the car is and knows where the goats are, let's say he opens door number 2 to reveal a goat. Okay? And then he says to you, Connor, do you want to stick with your original choice of door number 3, or would you like to switch to door number 1? So my question to you is it advantageous to switch, or should you stay with your original choice, or does it make no difference at all?
I have 2 instincts. One of them is it would depend on how he said it and the look in his eyes. Right. I would hopefully...
Let's assume that body language and how he said it is irrelevant to the question.
Then my second assumption, I will say, is that it doesn't make a difference.
Okay. Is there, when you say it, the second assumption is that, why do you say that?
Because I assume, and I say the word assume because I don't know the answer to this question. I've never heard this before. And we're making this up as we go along. That's why I say I assume.
I'm putting you on the spot.
Of course, and I don't mind this at all. But the reason I said I assume it's 50-50 now, and I picked this one. You didn't even give me the choice to pick based on any variables. You actually gave me the door. So my choice there was chosen, and then one other was revealed. So I have no other information than now it's that one or that one. So I'm like, okay. Are we taking home Billy, or are we taking home a Rari?
So here's what I'll do. I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but if anyone wants to look it up themselves, go ahead and look up the Monty Hall problem. Come to the conclusion yourself first, answer the question, and then go look up what the answer is. And I'll just leave it at that. And I can tell you I don't want to spoil it on the air, so I'll just tell you after the episode's over. We'll just leave you in suspense and we'll move on.
Oh, okay, fine. You're going to tell me after. Or maybe we could tell everybody towards the end, or no?
Well, if you, let's just, fine. You know what? I'll tell you what. Because, let's just tell them. We can just say it right now. Scrap everything.
Oh! I've done it. We're in, people. We're finding out the answers.
You are better off switching because initially you had a 1. If you say there's 3 doors, right, and there's 1 car, 2 goats, you have a 1 1/3 chance of picking the right door for the car, right?
Yes.
But now, since the key is that Monty knows what's behind each door, so he reveals a door showing a goat. So now it's as if your original now you have a 50-50 chance. Mm-hmm. So actually, a better analogy would be, okay, let me ask you this. Let's say there are 1,000 doors. All right, behind 999 doors, there's goats, and behind one door, there's a car. And Monty says to you, pick a door. So throw a random number at me.
What 333.
All right. So that now you say 333, and Monty opens up 998 doors to reveal goats. So now you're just left with your original choice of 333 or one
I should definitely switch.
Right.
100%
Everybody would
switch.
right?
You should definitely switch immediately.
Correct. Initially, you had a 1 in 1,000 chance. He just narrowed it down down for you. So now the answer is obvious. So it's that same logic scaled down to 3.
Now that makes more sense. Thank you. That does make sense. Okay, interesting.
Now we can move on with the actual topic of our show before people tune out. So that being said, I did think that I told you last week, what we were going to talk about. And I think this is an episode that I've wanted to talk about for a while, and we just never got around to it. But we're going to talk about excuses in various different ways. I think in the past I've made posts about this in the group, and part of it's my fault for how some of these have gone, because I think sometimes I've written things that maybe sound that make it sound like it's a contentious topic, and again, I take full responsibility for that, because there are times when I think you can sort of imply that all excuses are not valid when that's actually not the case, right? And so what I really want to do in this episode is highlight a few things, right? Why every single human has made excuses, right? And it's not just like life happens, people get sick, kids get sick, your job gets chaotic, things happen, right? So, and not every barrier is an excuse, and that's important, right? So like sometimes the stories we tell ourselves absolutely are excuses, but then deep down we know it's not probably valid, but that's different from an actual reason we couldn't do something. So I want to separate BS excuses from valid ones. I kind of want to dive into, is there biology behind why we make excuses? Is there evolution, involved in this? Like, why do we do this? And then ultimately, how can we make fewer excuses to actually go do more of what we want to do? So, how does that sound for an episode?
It sounds absolutely beautiful, and I started my thought patterns and train exactly in the same position as you did, so I'm very, very glad to hear this. If you would like to do perhaps a background on the biology, that makes sense. That sounds like a good place to start. My first thought always with excuses is exactly what you said. What is an excuse and what is a barrier? Yeah, so exactly. That's what's an obstacle and what's a barrier? Like, to me, an excuse is a fake barrier. It's an imaginary barrier that somebody has placed in front of themselves and then keeps walking themselves into. But there are real barriers like time, money, energy, family things happen, illness happens, stress happens, work happens. These are not excuses sometimes. And it's an important differentiation. So that's where I would like to get to in the conversation. I'm glad that you brought this up as well, because these are my favourite topics. Like, people think that...
Mine too.
Yeah, people think I'm an educator, and to some extent a little bit, but more likely or more often I'm an applicator. I help people do things that they already know that they should do. So this is more along my lines of actual work. This is what people deal with in actual day-to-day situations. This is why they can't get done what we are trying to get done, what they already know how to do and know they should do. Yep. So you kick us off, sir. You start us off.
I completely agree. I mean, I think, and that's what, a lot of us, we do work with people on that. And even on the front side of things, when somebody wants to come in and potentially work with a coach, they can give reasons, here's why I want to, but then they end up not actually enrolling and working with a coach because, well, this happened or this happened. And we'll dive into this, but it's those things that kind of, ironically, you saying, I'm sorry I couldn't get signed up for a coach this week because this came up. Well, ironically, the fact that the fact that you're busy and these things keep coming up is actually why you should work with a coach, because we can help you overcome those things. And your life is busy, and we can help you simplify and all that. So, anyways, Can I just say a second on that, as I think that's very interesting for myself as well. As I said this last time on one of our podcasts, but you see a different side to clients and people and the business to what I do. Yeah, like I never get to see the clients who
apply for coaching again and again, but don't actually sign up because they only talk to me after they sign up.
Yeah.
So the people that talk to me are the people that have gotten past any perceived excuses in some way, right? So you actually see perhaps and speak to a different sort of section of people than I do, which I think is really interesting. Another thing I thought then was, if that person's applying to you again and again, but they're not quite signing up, they've still got motivation though. Otherwise, why are they still talking to you? Why are they still coming back again? You know, so they've got something, which I'm really happy to see and hear about that too.
Yeah, there's a lot there, and like I said, we can talk about that, but it is interesting to see that side of things. But I guess first off, you know, talking about the difference, like what is an excuse, and obviously it sounds kind of obvious. We all know what an excuse is, at least at least on a surface level. But
definitions are important, though. We should definitely define.
Yeah, I think for the purpose of what we're talking about, you know, an excuse is essentially a justification for not doing something that you intended to do, or something that you said, you know, mattered to you. But again, this is where we need to separate excuses from legitimate barriers, because there's a huge difference between I physically could not and I didn't want to deal with the discomfort, right? If your kid is in the ER, skipping the gym isn't an excuse, right? If you're sick, modifying your expectations isn't an excuse, right? If life genuinely blows up, that's reality, right? But if you said, I didn't have time to walk for 15 minutes, but you spent an hour, you know, doom scrolling social media, that's a different conversation, right? So I think those are kind of what the two sides of the extremes that I kind of want to dive into, and to talk about the biology aspect. And I always try to preface these types of things by saying, look, I'm not an expert on human biology. I know a little bit about it, you know, somewhat to be dangerous and speak on things like this. But from my understanding, honestly, this is kind of one of the most fascinating parts of this conversation, because, you know, it's almost like there's this perception that excuses are a weakness, right? But I think the truth is actually more interesting than that. A lot of the psychology behind excuses absolutely has roots in human evolution, and it's not like there's a magical excuse gene. It's that the human brain has evolved for survival, right?
To protect itself. Yeah,
exactly. It's, you know, your brain didn't evolve to help you hit protein targets. You know, it didn't evolve to help you get shredded. It didn't evolve to help you with meal prep. You know, it evolved to keep you alive, right? Mm-hmm. And historically, survival has rewarded a few things. The conservation of energy, that's what you want to do. You want to conserve energy. You want to avoid unnecessary risk. Humans are very risk averse. We want to seek immediate reward, and we want to minimize our discomfort, right? And we want to, like, be part of social belonging. Like, we are social creatures, right? I think that all makes sense. If you're a human that's, you know, you lived 20,000 years ago and food is scarce, burning extra calories unnecessarily is really stupid, and it's a danger to your survival, right? So avoiding uncertain danger, smart, finding immediately calorie-dense food, great survival strategy, right? So I think that wiring didn't magically disappear just because we have grocery stores and Pelotons at our disposal, right? You know what I'm saying? So I think this is what I would call an evolutionary mismatch. It's the same brain, but we live in a completely different environment now than we did 20,000 years ago, right? So your brain still loves comfort, things being easy. Your brain loves certainty. Your brain loves immediate reward. But now the environment looks like you've got food delivery apps everywhere. You can have food delivered to your house. We have hyper-palatable foods. There's Netflix. There's social media. There's constant entertainment. There's zero effort or movement required, right? Like, just look at how different our environment is. So it's the same biology that once, you know, kept us alive, that's now very easy to work against us with our long-term goals. And I think it gets more interesting because not only does your brain respond to physical threats around us, we do respond to emotional discomfort as well, right? So when we fail at something, if we get embarrassed, if we're overwhelmed, if we're, you know, stressed out, right? when you say I'll do it tomorrow, sometimes what's actually happening is I don't want to feel uncomfortable right now, right? And that's not that you're necessarily lazy. It's just we're avoiding it. We're avoiding that discomfort because, again, we want something easy. We don't want to feel that. That's kind of baked into our biology, and I just think that's a huge part that we need to call out. I mean, your brain strongly rewards immediate reward over delayed gratification, right? So pizza feels way easier than trying to lose weight in 4 months. The couch is more comfortable than the treadmill. So you get where I'm coming from, right? So and I think from everybody's perspective who's listening, I think that all makes sense. Does that resonate with you? Does that make sense? What are your So if I'm hearing what you're saying and I'm agreeing that excuses are natural to some extent. So before you just started speaking there, and thank you for that, I Googled what the definition of an excuse is, and it says to seek to lessen the blame attaching to a fault or offence, or to try to justify. So it's to seek to lessen the blame attaching to a fault or offence. And then, like you said there, humans seek some things for survival, and you said humans are social creatures. So in the world we live in today, again, like you said, mismatch theory is one of my favourite things to think about, but the world's different now where people can be a lot more solitary if they wish. But if you go back to, like you said, 20,000 years ago, if you were solitary, you probably couldn't survive. You need other people to survive. Like, I didn't make these clothes I didn't farm my own field to make my food. And then now the world that we live in is different, where you can do one specified job to receive a coin, and then you can change that coin for a number of different items. But it didn't always used to be like that. In the past, if you were socially extricated, if you were seen as somebody that wasn't trustworthy, or somebody who said they were going to do things and then didn't do them, or somebody who failed tasks that they were set, or failed tasks that they set themselves, again and again and again and again and again. This is why, like you're saying, people want to avoid failure, etc., so use excuses to not start. Because if you're seen as somebody that tries and fails and fails and fails and fails and fails, this is not good for your standing in social situations. Status, and then, your status in social hierarchies that no longer really exist, but we feel this still to this day, the want to be respected. It could be referred to as ego in a way, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but your ego comes from partly how people feel about you, or more rightly how you think people feel about you. It's like it's right there, it's a doubling back of sort of the situation. So yes, it's to protect the social standing and the ego sometimes, to delay difficulty. I loved that one that you dropped in as well, because we all just want to be comfortable. We all want an easy time. So if we can delay, why wouldn't we want easy? It's not even a bad thing to want easy. That's the part that's baked into our evolution. Is easy means you burn fewer calories, and evolutionarily speaking, we really wanted to conserve calories back in the the Stone Ages when food was scarce. We had to do that. So it really is baked into your DNA.
We just try and get everybody to do the things that it's not natural for them to do, though, don't we? Like all these things you've described, like, humans naturally want to conserve energy. We're like, hey, do step count and exercise. It's like naturally humans want to eat food and store body fat because this gets you through famines and winters and protects your organs. And this was a good idea. Like, people who weighed more survived better in the past, but now the world's changed, but the bodies are the same. So we literally help people learn to not fight against, but allow and perhaps coerce or learn to control some of their natural instincts in a way. And we have to do with willpower and with motivation and with good habits and with effort and with community and support, do things that aren't naturally the most natural, again, to use the same word twice, I apologize, for us to do. It's interesting to think about.
Well, there's also there's this self-preservation, self-protection, this innate need for that's built into us, right? So humans hate contradiction. So for example, if you believe I care about my health, but then you skip your workout, that creates internal tension, right? And psychology has a term for it. It's called cognitive dissonance, and that discomfort feels bad. There's two ways to resolve it. One, you can change your behavior. That's really hard. Or two, you can change the story. That's way easier, right? So, right, I was too busy. Boom, tension reduced. Right? That's why excuses can feel genuinely believable. They're not always conscious lies. We don't even always necessarily think about it. Sometimes your brain is literally protecting your self-image, right? But
so it's justifying the behavior.
Exactly. And I think the part that matters is, just because something has biological roots doesn't mean that you're powerless, and I think that's what we really got to keep in mind, right? Humans also evolved to have self-awareness. We can plan for the future. We can regulate our behavior.
Most adaptable creatures so far known in the universe.
Correct. Yeah, exactly. So I think, some of this is human nature, but so is overcoming it, right? I think it'd be, like, if we dive into some of the excuses that I know that you hear, and I certainly hear as well, and that I've been guilty of, by the way. I just want to put this out there. I don't want any of this episode to come off like I'm on my high horse and that I don't have these issues too. We all do. I mean, these are things that I work on as well. But some of the common excuses, the biggest one for me that I see is I don't have time, or now's not the right time, right? And that's the one that gets people heated, because sometimes it's absolutely true. But what we actually mean is, this wasn't important. This is the uncomfortable part. People don't like to hear it. This wasn't important enough compared to what I chose instead. And that sounds harsh, but if someone says, I can't find 20 minutes to take a walk, and then, again, spends 90 minutes on social media, that's not a time issue.
Well, that's not the same thing, isn't it? Yeah, I understand where you are.
So I think that's the big one that I see a lot, and I think, when we talk about solutions to that, because I don't want to just point things out and just say, well, go figure it out on your own. But I think this is where we see people giving generic advice, and they're trying to be helpful, but it doesn't actually help. Like comments like, well, you just need to prioritize better. Yeah, duh. Okay, how? Like, if I knew how to do that, I would have already done it by now, right?
Or what if you can't? What if your work and family are literally more important at this minute in time? Then I'm not saying we still can't do it, but we have to. If you can't change the situation, you have to change the exercise and food to fit the current. Either if you can change the situation, change the situation. What if you can't? We have to change the other thing, which is what we're doing with the food and exercise, and fit that in.
Or change your expectations, right? Like, if you can, if you want to get more fit, but you don't have the time, well, now I need to change my expectation to say, well, my goal of how I want to look, I have to change my expectation on that, because based on my current circumstances that I can't change at the moment, that's not attainable. So I need to make a more realistic goal for myself that is attainable based on my current circumstances.
That's an interesting way of looking at it. I don't know if it's a positive way of looking at it, but it's an interesting way of seeing it.
That's the way I see it, right? I think if there's nothing wrong with that, but if you have this idea in your mind of how you want to look, but you're not actually living and doing the things that are necessary to look that way, you either need to start doing and living the way you need to do, or the things you need to do and living the way you need to live to get there, or if you can't do that, take that image and tone it down a bit, or make it more realistic, that is, more conducive to that is achievable based on your goals. That's just the way I see it.
So acceptance, okay, that's also nice. One thing I like about the time is I actually send out a private podcast to my clients every single Monday, and this Monday I was actually talking about time, because everybody's busy. I understand. Everybody's got work, family, friends. You're also trying to relax. You also want to do your hobbies. You've also got 7 other goals you haven't achieved. We're all busy. We're all stressed, and we all have to find ways to make this work. And I think there's a few interesting ways of looking at it. And I like the way you're going with this conversation as well, because you're turning it into like myth busting, which I think is interesting. I didn't know which way we were going to go with the conversation, but you're starting to actually put out excuses.
I didn't know where we were going to go with it either, to be clear. It just happens. We're just here.
Yeah, so we're kind of going on like a little myth-busting thing here, or that's what it feels like to me anyway. But with the time, there's a few ways of looking at it. One thing I like to recommend to people with the food, not to be too long about it, but I recommend that people need what I call fast food plan Bs. So most people's plan A with food is, I will healthy home cook and do everything from scratch myself. And that's the best food ever. That's great, that's awesome. people don't often though have a plan B. If they can't healthy home cook because they get busy, tired, ill, stuck at work, like, or something happens with the kids are ill, you haven't got time to do an hour of cooking, they order DoorDash, don't they? Or Uber Eats. And so we're swinging then wildly with food from the best food ever, theoretically generalized, healthy home-cooked food, to the highest calorie food ever, theoretically generalized,
sure.
which is DoorDash restaurant high-calorie grease, delivered essentially. So what I recommend to people with time is we all need, including me, healthy fast food plan Bs. And when I say fast food, I don't mean junk food, I mean food that's fast, quick food. Like, I recommend to people, can we get microwave meals that are macro counted and in good quality? Can we get freezer meals that we can save in the freezer that are macro counted and good quality? Can you get tray bakes where it's got like vegetables and protein and whatever, and you just put it in the oven? You need meals that you can make in 5 to 10 minutes so that you've got backup plan Bs to make it fast.
Yeah, I completely agree. And there's a million ways to do that quickly. I think people have this perception that healthy eating is
meal prep.
Or that it takes a lot of work.
Yeah.
Like it can take. I could go whip something up in minutes.
If you've got an air fryer, you're like.
If you have a microwave, you can.
Yeah. You can steam any vegetables in a microwave in 6 minutes, and it takes you 14 seconds. You get a bowl, and then you get the vegetables, and you go, and then you get like a tablespoon of water, and you go, then you put a little plate upside down, and you go, and then you click 6 minutes, and you click go, and you leave, and then you don't have to watch it. Doesn't take you 6 minutes. You're not just staring at it while it spins.
Go exercise for 6 minutes. That's how you
could do jumping jacks for 6 minutes, or you could try and wrangle the kids and stop them screaming. Whatever was.
I've done that. That's a futile effort.
I know.
We've got a couple comments here, by the way.
Very nice, very nice.
Kara Fire. I can't speak. Kara Fire. Excuse me.
Oh, lovely.
If I'm saying it wrong, I apologize. But I think it's Kara Fire.
Take a shot.
I truly believe how society contributes to a lazy mindset and constant excuses to get out of comfort zones. And then we have another one from Dave Rossman. The assumption that everything needs to be easy. The assumption that everything needs to be easy can be the source of most issues. Embrace that things can be difficult and view it as a challenge. I do like that. That's a really good way to look at it too. Like, is this a challenge I can conquer? Is this a mountain I can overcome? For people that like a challenge like that and are motivated by that sort of thing, I think that's a really helpful way to look at it.
It reminds me of a Tom Hanks quote I remember from a long time ago. He said, "The hard is what makes it great."
I like
that. Yeah, I liked that, and I always remembered that, and I always kind of thought, yeah, pretty much. Like, everything that's great, you're like, that took a lot of time, or it took a lot of effort, or that's hard in some way, most of it. But that's actually what makes it great. If it's easy, then everybody can get it, and then that kind of makes it normal, and that makes it not special, and that makes it not that great. So the things that are the hardest are kind of the best, and that's what makes them special. Items that are hard to obtain, or jobs that are hard to get, or physiques that are hard to attain, or whatever it might be.
There's a satisfaction once you get that, right? That's the dopamine hit that you're wanting, but the issue is we want it now. We don't want that delayed gratification, and there again, that
goes back to the natural thing that you were speaking
exactly.
about.
It's what's baked into us, right? And I think to go back to, maybe some possible solutions here, and what I was talking about, like, if you say prioritize better, ask yourself, if I say this matters, what evidence of this exists on my calendar, right? Because priorities, that's not what we say. Priorities are what consistently get our time and attention and our energy and resources.
It's not what we say, it's what we do.
Right. So another potentially useful exercise that I've done, and it has helped me, and I think it helps a lot of other people as well, is rank your priorities honestly. Right? Just rank them, like even write them down. Family, work, sleep, your health, what you do for entertainment, and then now compare that to your actual behavior. If Netflix gets 2 hours a night and your sleep gets 5, then I think your real rankings are different. And there's no judgment there. It's just, this is how you try to get clarity, right? And I think you also have to pick some non-negotiables. I think one of the best systems is creating non-negotiables. So like and be very specific. Don't be vague about it. So, an example would be, I walk every day. I train Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I hit protein at breakfast, right? If like those are your non-negotiables, because if everything is optional, everything becomes negotiable, right? So you have to also have some non-negotiables. And then I also want to mention, I don't like the idea. Some people are going to disagree with me on this, and that's fine. This is just my opinion. I don't like the idea of needing more motivation. I don't know how you feel about that, but I think motivation is wildly overrated. And I think we get this, a lot of people act like motivation is required before action. Like, I got to get motivated to do this. That's backwards.
We would like it to be the other way. I would like it if I...
Action often creates motivation. Nobody feels wildly motivated to clean the garage, right? But once you start, then momentum builds. Waiting to feel ready is how people lose days and weeks and months.
Years.
And then you look back and you're like, and then you look back, shit, if I'd have just started last week or whatever. And how many times do we tell ourselves that, right? And I think it's the same, like, nobody's ever regretted going to the gym or a good work. Have you ever gotten not done with a workout and been like, damn, I regretted that I did that? No, you always feel...
No, actually. Even if I didn't want to do it or I didn't like it.
Even if you didn't want to do it to begin with. Afterward, you're like, I'm glad I did that. I'm glad I got it done. I feel better about myself. Right? But you don't always feel motivated to go to the gym. Honestly, between me and you and anyone listening to this, I actually don't enjoy working out. I really don't enjoy, but I always, afterward, I'm glad I did. But I don't want to go work out. I don't want to go lift weights. I do it, but I'm never sitting there and feeling like, man, I really want to go work out. Some people do. I'm just not one of them. But afterward, I always feel good, right? I forgot where I was going with the rest of that, but I mean, you get the point. I think it's you got to have some non-negotiables, and then there have to be things that you can actually prioritize, and then rank out what based on my list here of things that I think are my priorities. Do my actions actually stack up against that, and do they support how I've ranked these priorities? And if they don't, then something needs to change.
Yes, I would like to... You said too many good things to comment on them all, but I would like to try and comment on two things that you said, and then I would like to perhaps try and go into, if you're saying something needs to change, that's correct, how do we then make that change? Like, how are we blasting through these excuses and then practically turning it into action? One thing that I liked that you said is about motivation, and you said motivation comes from action, which is true. One thing that I say to my clients is that motivation only comes from two places, because you can actually get motivation without action. There's two places. One's progress, comes from action, like you said. The other one's pain. People only get motivated to change when the pain of staying the same becomes larger than the perceived pain it will take to change. It's called the tipping point. It's when when it comes to like fat loss, weight loss, or moving and exercise, it's when the pain of staying the same in your current body on a day-to-day basis becomes larger than how difficult you think it will be to change or how much effort that's going to take. Then you'll change, and that is not a good position to be in, and I beg with people never to get to that point if you can help it, because people are so resilient and so strong, and people can put themselves into so much pain before they'll force themselves to change, and you do not want to get so far down that road that you feel forced to change, because force isn't a positive feeling. You don't want to be forced to do anything. We like freedom, not force. So when you're forced into change, you're not going to feel better than now, so you have to start now, even when you don't want to, because when you do want to, it's going to be so much worse when you actually want to. Then, like you said, motivation, it's fleeting. It comes and goes like a breeze. Motivation, like sometimes you want to, sometimes you don't. Motivation is desire, literally. It's a feeling of I want. That's what it is, motivation. If I only exercised every time I wanted to, what are we talking about? I'd have exercised 3 times ever. Like, what if you only paid your house bills when you wanted to? You'll be in debt. What if you only went to work when you wanted to? You'd be late every day and get fired. You can't just do the things that you want to, which leads me on to your second point, which you said some things have to be non-negotiable. And I see people go through this struggle as well, because for a while, kind of looking after your health is negotiable. Like until you're about 30 maybe, 20, 30, 35 if you've got good genes. You kind of don't have to stretch your lower back. You kind of don't have to like worry about your calories that much. You don't even think about protein too much. It's just kind of fine. And then as as we age, things change, and people change, and then we have to start looking after ourselves a little bit more. And if you don't stretch your glutes, then your lower back's going to hurt. And yes, you've got to do a good step count, and yes, you have to start thinking more about your protein intake, and we have to start sorting it out. And they have to become more non-negotiables. And I see people struggle with this. They've still got health and fitness in a category of something they might do. It's like they might do it. They're thinking about doing it. They'll consider doing it. Even they will try doing it, which sometimes isn't good enough, because sometimes, I mean, trying's amazing, but some people just need to actually do it. They need to take it from the category of I might do it or I'm trying to do it to know I will actually do it. And sometimes I use an analogy of like brushing your teeth. You don't try to brush your teeth. It doesn't matter if you haven't got time or you're late for work. You don't try to shower. Doesn't matter if you haven't got time or you're late for work or you're exhausted at the end of the day and it's 11 p.m. and you really can't be bothered to shower. You're still going to do it either at that night or at that morning. You're going to make it work regardless because it's not optional. It's gone into the non-negotiable category, like brushing your teeth, showering, looking after your children, paying the bills. It doesn't matter if you want to or not, or you got time. Are you tired, are you? You're not going to look after your children because you're tired? Stop it. It's non-negotiable. You don't even try and do it. You just do it. And like for some people, they need, when it gets to that situation, they need to grab this health and fitness stuff and stick it into the I am doing it category. So I liked what you said there about the non-negotiables. And then I think we should try and go into then, if people have got these barriers, and or maybe that's where we should go. What about the barriers versus the excuses? Like people come to me, and you said at the start of this that I probably hear a lot of people's excuses. And I kind of feel like I don't, in a way. I feel like, I mean, firstly, I will say I never say to anybody that they are making excuses, because that would be my assumption, because I don't actually know what their barriers are or aren't. I can only go by what they're telling me. I can't see every part of their life, you know. So I don't tell people they're making excuses. I try and help them identify what's a barrier and what's an excuse. And a barrier is a real obstacle, something that's actually causing you to struggle. And like we said earlier, an excuse is an imaginary barrier that you're putting in front of yourself for some sort of reason, like you said earlier, be it either fear of failure, or you're trying to justify a behavior, or you're trying to avoid the difficulty of change, or you're trying to delay change a little bit longer, or maybe you even believe the excuse is real, which is also, I feel like that's part of my job, is I listen to people's reasons of why they can't. And then I often find people come to me and they say to me, I am making excuses. That's not me, Connor Rhodes. This is the client will say to me, I am making excuses. And I will find myself often saying to them, it doesn't sound to me like you're making excuses. It sounds to me like you're describing a series of actual barriers and obstacles that have caused you to be in this situation that you're not finding the most positive and are causing you to struggle to get out of it as well. And then people stop and they're like, what? Yeah, they're like, what? He's not telling me that I'm like making it. I'm like, no, this sounds like actual real struggles. And then my job is, okay, which ones of these struggles are actually real? Like, do we actually not have time? Or can we make the exercise so fast and accessible that you do have time? Or if you woke up 1 hour, if you slept 1 hour less, you might find yourself having so much more energy and sleeping better that you're actually more productive. And then the time creates itself. You never know. So I end up trying to find myself talking to people about not their excuses really, but about their actual, even if it is an excuse, I'll kind of just, I don't know, we'll try and just move past that one, because we've got actual real problems as well, and we need to work on these actual barriers.
Yeah, you made a lot of good points there as well. Real quick though, Liz commented, I appreciate you giving me a heads up on that, Liz. It sounds like maybe there's a difference in our mic volume. It sounds like mine's a little bit too quiet for people. So I did make some adjadjustments. Liz, could you let me know if that's a little bit better? I can also turn it up a little bit more.
I do also shout quite a lot. Maybe I should move my microphone like onto my hip. Maybe I should be hip phoned. I don't know.
Well, this is a new mic too, so the levels may not be perfect. I tried to get it as good as I could before the show. It sounded fine pre backstage before the show, but when we go live, sometimes it's a different story. So
People
let me
keep
know if you
commenting
can...
though, please. Yes, let us know if the volumes are equal. I can't turn me down, but we can actually like adjust the volumes, and we could also fix it in post, couldn't we? For the actual uploaded version, we can use like an audio leveler.
There's stuff we can do. Yeah.
Yeah, but when
Live's
we're on
a little
live,
bit different, but
yeah. So thank you to people commenting. If you see any struggles or troubles, please do comment on. Let us know about it. That's how we'll fix it.
That goes for anybody. Anybody that's still watching. Maybe Liz took off and couldn't tolerate my low volume anymore. So, but yeah, anybody, just let me know if the microphones sound a little bit better. But yeah, I think, yeah, it's just there's again, you made a lot of good points. I think what we really should, we talked about the non-negotiables. We talked about motivation. I think we should also dive into the part that I really wanted to clear up for people is just how we sort of have this it's the sunk cost fallacy, essentially, right? I already messed up. That one destroys people's consistency a lot, right? So like you were talking about fast food. Okay, you had fast food, so now is the day ruined?
You mean junk food though, not quick food?
Yeah, right. So
high calorie, low fiber, highly processed food, UPFs. Whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, so if you have that, is your day is your day ruined? I mean, that doesn't really make any sense. Like that's like getting a flat tire and slashing the other three, right? I think the better question is, what's the next best choice I can make, rather than, well, how do I get back to trying to be perfect? We're not going for perfection here. We're going for consistency, and just how do I try to consistently make better choices than I was before? You're not always going to do that. That's why perfection isn't required. But if you make improvements over time, that's all that is required to actually make progress. I think the other part that is, just again understanding that all or nothing mindset is something that we carry with us for a long time. And when we finally decide, I'm going to give this another shot, I want to go try to lose weight again, it's very hard to ditch that idea that I've got to be perfect, all or nothing. And it's just not the case, right? I think that's where you got to go back to. I've talked about this in past episodes, but it's like, what's the minimum viable action that you can do? Like, so instead of asking, what's like the ideal situation? Like, what do I need to do? It's just ask, okay, what's actually something I can execute right now? Can I do an hour workout? No, I can't. Okay, do I have 15 minutes? Okay, I can't prep every meal. Could I prep my protein? I can't track everything perfectly. Okay, just track the best you can. Track it honestly, right? Consistency is scalable. Trying to be perfect all the time collapses, right? I think that would be my takeaway for people with this all or nothing mindset. Do you feel like you see that with your clients at all?
All the time. Again, I think it's natural to be all or nothing. And I think probably in the past, when we had shorter lifespans, probably all or nothing was a good idea. And I think still in some respects and ways, it's still a good idea to be all or nothing. I think it's firstly, all or nothing is a natural state. It's a natural way of thinking and way of being. And again, for some things in life it works. Like maybe for your relationship, for example, you should be all or nothing. We're either in forever or we're not in, probably.
That's a good place to be all or nothing, yes.
I agree, and I think there's more places in life as well that it's good to be all or nothing, and there's a few places that it's not. And we have to learn, and often we have to learn the hard way. One's money. If you're all or nothing with your money, spend no money, now you're Scrooge. Spend all your money, now you're screwed. So it's like, no, we can't.
Yeah,
and you mess that up when you're younger. Quite often we spend too much money, we get in debts, we can't quite figure it out, we have to learn spending habits, you have to learn ingoings and outgoings, and then you have to learn balance. And it doesn't matter whether you like it or not. It does not matter whether you like it or not. Balance is the only way with your money, especially if you want to be in a good position or have freedom in any sort of way. And it's the same with food. If you eat no food, you'll die, and if you eat all the food, you'll die. So it's like, you cannot be all or nothing. It doesn't matter if you want to. It doesn't matter what you want sometimes. It's not a real situation that this can be all or nothing. We have to learn balance, and quite often when we're younger, again, we screw it up with the food, and you have to learn the hard way. When we get to about 30, you start sorting out your finances, you start sorting out your food. All the F's, we're sorting them out. Got
another comment here from M. Lyons that says, I think this is something people can relate to, especially. I've been at this for years and still have an all or nothing mindset, even though I try to battle it every day, but it still trips me up often. So yeah, I mean, that again, that's something we see all the time.
We have to fight against it.
Yeah, and again, I don't think Connor's not. I'm not sitting here. Neither of us are trying to sit here saying that we have it down, that we are perfect at this, because I can guarantee neither of us are. But it's, again, that's where it's at least if you are aware of it and if you know, that's half the battle, right? So I think just trying to understand these things it can really help, which is why we're talking about it. Have you ever heard I don't remember who coined the phrase, it's a term really, the law of diminishing intent. You ever heard that? I can't remember who
no,
coined
but
it.
I know what those words mean separately too. But please expand.
It's I'd have to look up who coined it, but it's basically the idea that your intent decays over time. So like when you first decide to do something or you want to change something, you're pretty clear on it. Your emotional state is good at the time. You feel motivated to do it sometimes. You're probably frustrated with things, and so that's what's causing you to want to change something. So if you say, right, I'm ready to do this, I'll start Monday, and today's Wednesday, for example. If I say I'm going to start Monday, what I'm doing is I'm giving essentially life 5 days to throw stuff at me, right? I'm giving life an opportunity, a 5-day opportunity to throw more at me, to steal my attention away and to go do other things, so that by Monday I get there and I'm like, oh crap, I meant to do this, but like this and this came up, so I'll try it again in a few days. And so every time we delay something, it's that intent decay, right? If we delay something, the longer we put it off, the less likely it is that we are actually going to do what we said. So it's the law of diminishing intent. And again, it's why I think do as often as you can, try to do what you say you're going to do that moment, because now if you just do it, well, now there's no going back. It's like I tell people, look, if you're looking to get a coach, just do it now, right? Because then you've already got the coach, and now you're going to feel like, well, I already made the decision, so now I really got to dive in and work hard. Like, I'm in it now. Let's just do it, right? Whereas if you say, I'm going to get a coach next week, guess what? You're giving life that many more chances to steal your attention away and rob you of the things that you really wanted to do. So I think for me, one of the things that's helped me a lot is just when I say I'm going to do something, I really just try to make a concerted effort to do it right now and not put it off, because I know that if I say yeah I'll get to it, I'm probably not going to get to it, at least not for a while, and that doesn't often end well, right? I think a lot of husbands are guilty of that. I've been guilty of it. So I think, my wife probably doesn't appreciate if I say I'm going to do something later. I'll just go do it now. That makes her happier. It makes my life easier. So it's stuff like that I've learned over the years. You just got to rip the Band-Aid off and do it. I think the other part that's helped me, that I think will help people as well, is your environment. Try to design your environment to be more conducive to what you say you want to do, right? I think people think that you just need to be more disciplined and that discipline solves everything. But your environment matters more than you probably realize. So if you have junk food everywhere, right? If that's visible everywhere, guess what's going to happen? You're probably going to eat more junk food. If your workout clothes are ready for you to put on, you're more likely to train. If your phone is next to you, my phone's next to me, you're more likely to scroll. So like how you design and set up your environment has a massive impact on how you actually act, and how you act is what's going to determine your results. So I guess that would be my advice to people in terms of just getting going and doing what you say you want to do, rather than allowing that law of diminishing intent to bite you in the butt.
Again, you've said too many good things. I'd like to try and hit on a few of them. One of them was when you said all or nothing. It sparked in my mind a thought of all or nothing gets you nothing. Because I would like anybody to show me any one person who got all. If you resign to yourself that I will get all, or I will do all, or I will have nothing, or do nothing, then you'll do nothing and you'll have nothing. Because nobody gets all. There's no person who gets everything they ever wanted, or does everything that they could possibly do. You know, it's just not even real. Like you said about perfection. Perfection's not even a real thing. Perfection's an opinion. It's literally an opinion. What's perfect? So,
for sure.
Like, what are we even aiming for here? Because it's different for everybody. People often get confused aiming for perfection. They think the perfect diet is like, I don't know, chicken and broccoli every day or something. But wouldn't a perfect diet be one where you feel healthy and happy, and you have food freedom, and you can eat out, and you've been on vacation and still you're in great shape? Is that not more perfect? It probably is. And then what you said about the environment there is one of the most important points in all of history, and vastly underrated and underappreciated. I even saw a study a long time ago, an unofficial study, it was done by Precision Nutrition, that company, where they asked all their clients to rank what their struggles were, and the environment was ranked like 20th near the bottom or something ridiculous. And no, your environment's like almost number one. Like nearly everybody. All that showed me is that people do not understand their own struggles. I don't know. Like, what science actually shows is the amount of junk food you eat is based on your proximity to the junk food, not your willpower. It's not how much you like junk food. Or you think you like cake more than other people? Stop it. And people think that there's people. Sorry, I'm talking for too long. But people literally think there's two groups of people. They think there's people who can be around a lot of junk food that they find highly indulgent and gorgeous,
and have self-control,
and do nothing about it, just like a nutritional monk. Just sit here like this. I am too holy for pleasures of the mouth. I do not give in to pleasures of the flesh and the earth no more. You know, because just like me, I'm some like nutritional like monk or guru. And stop it. It's ridiculous. And then they think there's them. Oh, when I'm around junk food, I just can't do anything about it. I just end up eating it. I'm like, yeah. Because there's actually two groups of people. It's people who sit around a load of junk food and eat it and get confused, and people who don't. It's people who just clean up the food environment, and you don't like it, and you don't want to do it, and you don't want to hear it, and you don't want to throw out the snacks. And people come to me and tell me their excuses as well. I literally had a conversation with a lady, shout out, like literally a few days ago, and she said to me she'd been making excuses about buying snacks and saying they were for her kids, and she was just eating them over and over. I didn't say that, she said that.
That's pretty good. I think the honesty is what will get. That's another
frustration gets people to honesty. You know, one of the biggest factors I see for change is when people start to get frustrated with themselves.
That's true.
And their own loops,
now the
and
truth
their own
comes
talk.
out.
Yeah, and their own. They start coming to me. Like I said, I don't tell people they're making excuses. I analyze their barriers and try and help them with them. They start coming to me and saying, "Listen, I'm making excuses here."
Yeah, we should also point out that, look, of all the things that we've talked about that can help, the other obvious, or maybe not so obvious one, is accountability. This is literally why coaching works, right? Because humans we are really good negotiators with ourselves, right? Tomorrow I'll do it. Just this one time. This week didn't count because, the weekend was whatever. But external accountability can interrupt that thought pattern or that cycle and really help us see things differently and give us an objective assessment on our life, on our excuses, on the things that we say. So the accountability can really be super helpful. And that's what a lot of people are looking for, honestly, because I think, again, deep down, innately, we know, look, a lot of my excuses are BS and I'm sick of them. I can't tell you how many people I get that tell me I want someone to hold me accountable. I want someone to give me that kick in the ass. I want someone to come knock the food out of my hand. Not literally, but proverbially, right? Like, those are the things that people want. So that tells me that deep down, your excuses are not really valid and you're tired of them. Again. That's the frustration, right? So that's why you want that accountability. The other excuses that can be called out with the accountability respectfully, is I deserve this, or hey, it's just one weekend, or I had no options, or I'll restart Monday. Those things aren't always false. So there are times that those are true, but repeating patterns reveals habits, right? And we can see, okay, well now it's, you've been saying this for a couple months. You kind of told me the same thing over and over several months. I don't think this is really a valid excuse anymore. this seems to be a habit or a habit or pattern. Like, here's what we're going to do about it, right? So now we can start to change those habits and behaviors that you really want to get out of. So I don't know. I think the biggest takeaway that I would probably cap this episode off with, and we still have some time, so if there's stuff you want to add to, but I think my biggest takeaway is understand that excuses don't make you a bad person. They don't make you weak. It's a human thing. They make you human. But awareness is what creates, it gives you that leverage. And maybe the most useful questions are, is this actually true? Or is this just
that's number
discomfort
one. Assess the barrier or obstacle, right, or excuse. Like, assess the situation honestly and openly. Assess and analyze. Yep. That's number one.
Yeah, and then, is this just discomfort that I'm avoiding? Like, is it discomfort avoidance? And then I think this part really matters, and that is, what system am I using to make my success more likely?
Ooh, that's nice.
For some that's coaching, for some it's environment setup, for some it could be a lot of things. But like, what am I actually doing to make my goal that I have in mind more achievable than it is now? That's what people want to get to.
And a lot of people, they get stuck on thinking and contemplating. Like, on the readiness to change continuum, there's a stage, contemplation. People get stuck there. And
yeah.
And the problem with contemplating and thinking about change is thinking is not an action. So it will not move you forward. You can think forever and nothing will happen. Waiting isn't an action. So you will not become motivated by waiting. Nothing will change by waiting. Like you're saying, most likely, because life is difficult and variable, only more variables and obstacles will appear most likely. Especially as we're letting problems like shadows in our lives just grow in the background as we just ignore them, and try and power on and say that we'll deal with it later. One thing you said earlier, you said a few times about starting on Monday. I know, and it's natural to want to do that as well, isn't it? It's like, we'll just delay for a little bit longer, but if we're procrastinating now, why won't we procrastinate later?
And that's what ends up happening.
Of course. And like you said, what did you call it? The diminishing intent, of course.
Yeah, the law of diminishing intent, yeah.
Of course, yeah, because if we're already waiting, then if we wait one day, the chance that we wait the second day, like if you don't snack, the chance you won't snack the next day, okay, but if you do snack, then what's the chance we snack the next day? Higher. Then if we've snacked 2 days in a row, the chance we snack the third day is higher. Then we're building a habit, so then it goes up, and it's the same as not doing anything. If you don't do anything for 5 days, the chance you won't do anything on the 6th day is higher. Like you said with the doors, it's back to the door thing.
Yeah, it's just such a good topipic. I'm glad we could dive into this, because there's so much I could talk about, but I think it really
we've
is.
We've touched on barely anything. Like,
I know.
I don't feel like we've actually gone through solid tactics of.
Well, that's the time constraint. I know. We don't have.
But we can do part 2 to this, and hope people will like that, and they'll come back and listen. I feel like we've set the stage, but I feel like we need to break down more myths, and we need to go into more like how, after somebody has come to us and they're talking to you, they're already getting past their excuses, and then they get signed up, and then I see their situation as not excuses, but I help them work on their barriers and obstacles. And no, that's wrong. I don't usually help people work on their barriers and obstacles, because sometimes those barriers and obstacles are not within my realm of profession.
Your wheelhouse.
I can't help you sort out your work stress. I can't help you fix what's going on with the family. Things like this. But what I can do is make the healthy eating so easy that it works even when you work stressed. I can make the exercise so easy that you can do it even if you've only got like 15 minutes. I can make the food so easy that you don't even have to think about it. You can put that on autopilot, and then you can actually focus on the other things that you find more important and prioritize more. Maybe I think you should. I still think you should put family first, but I think you should put you somewhere, and you need to eat some healthy food somewhere. Please, at least do that for your family so that you can feel good and actually live long and prosper. Otherwise, how are you going to help them? You can't give what you haven't got. You're not going to help them if you don't help yourself. So I'll help you a bit so that you can help them a lot. I'm kicking off.
Do you guys feel, people watching this, people listening, would it be, was this a helpful episode? Did you guys enjoy the episode, and should we do a part 2? I guess I'd be curious. I hope people find every episode beneficial, but I want to see if people like this one, and if we should continue with an episode 2 at some point, and kind of dive into, like you said, Connor, just the maybe a little bit more about the strategy and like what can we actually do to get out of this stuff. So let me know in the comments if you guys liked this episode and if you guys found it beneficial, and if you'd like to see a part 2 on this, because I think that's certainly something we could do.
It's psychology of change. I love that. That's my actual job. It's working with people. It's how we think. It's what we do. It's how we change. This is what I like this more than vitamin B12. Ooh.
What's interesting, people think that, you know, a nutrition coach or a nutrition company like us, that, you know, that a lot of what we do is teaching people about nutrition. That's like this much of it. It's like I mean, that is part of it.
It's some of it.
It's some of it, but a lot of it is more just what you said. It's around the habit and behavior side of things. There's a lot of people that come to us that know what to do. It's just how do I actually do it?
Oh yeah, I feel like my job is to be a sounding board and to provide a space so that people can learn about themselves.
That's a good point too, and you have to. We should do an episode on that too, because I think that's really, a lot of it is so introspective. I mean, life. If you want to improve, you're going to have to do some introspection, and I think when people come to get a coach, they can have a lot of good introspection and realize more about who they are, and then that leads to good change. We did get a couple comments here from people saying that. They want. This is a resounding yes that we should do another episode.
Oh, okay.
So Liz said yes. We got another from Patsy. It says that was helpful. I'd like to know how much information you need from a client to help with pattern recognition and moving forward. That's a pretty interesting question. That's probably a lengthy answer. Maybe we could take one more minute before we wrap things up. Connor, what are your thoughts on that question, since you are a coach?
Yeah, it depends on what the goal is. Like if somebody asked me that literally, and one of my clients asked me the best question ever in a call the other day. They said something, I'll paraphrase very slightly, but something like, what do you need from me so that I can ensure I get the best results? And I was like, oh, that's good. And I said, from you, for a weight loss goal, for example, all I need is for, number one, the client to communicate with me, talk to me, like we have daily journals that they can fill in that reports back about how they're feeling to their coach, or they can private message me, or they can send me a chat message, or, you know, there's multiple ways they can feedback. I don't care how or where, just let me know how you're feeling about the food choices, because I only care about two things when people are achieving their goals. Number one, that they do achieve their goals because they pay us for a service and we're here to get a job done. We're not playing games. We're like, if you pay for the service, we get the job done, we achieve the goal. Number two, I want them to be happy and feel good about the ways that we do it, because it's a health and well-being service. So the things I need for a weight loss goal is I need the client to talk to me so I know that they feel good, and I need to see the weight, the body weight, if we've got a weight loss goal. If we're doing training and somebody's got a muscle building goal, then I need the client to talk to me so I know that they feel good, so I need communication again, and then I need progressive overload feedback through workouts. You know, it depends what the goal is, but it's not that much the requirements from the actual client. All you need is to communicate with your coach so that you're open and available to be helped and supported. And then the actual feedback is very minimum, because we can make a lot out of a little, being world-class professionals and all that.
Good answer. I think that's a good place to park this episode on our 1 hour journey. But yeah, thank you for everyone who watched. Thank you for all the comments. Thank you for the questions. We will definitely do another episode on this. We probably have to get to Connor's other 1,000 topic ideas that he's got written down in his notebook too, because he's got no shortage of ideas that, you know, for podcast episodes. So we might have to get to some of those first, but we could definitely do a episode 2 on this. Anything else you want to say before we duck out of here, Connor?
Thank you to everybody for listening. I appreciate you. Welcome back to the podcast once again. This has been episode 3. I've had a fantastic time. It's great to speak to you every time, Mr. Dillon, sir. You're absolutely awesome. Thank you to everybody for listening. If you've made it through this far into the show, then you obviously appreciate yourself and your health as well. So hopefully we've provided you some positivity. If you've even taken one little tidbit away. I listen to a lot of podcasts myself. I'm a podcast guy. And if I can even remember just one little thing, or you take one little positive brainworm gets inside you from us today, then that's a big win, and we'll see you next week and do the same. We'll move 1% forward each week, and through that we'll get there.
Awesome. I appreciate you, Connor, as always, and appreciate everyone who's listening. Thank you, and we will be back. We're going to play this lovely outro music. Until next time, guys. Adios.